Hi there, my name is Tyrrell-Hendry and I'm a PhD candidate at the University of Edinburgh. I'm going to be giving a brief summary of my paper EM Forever Blowing Bubbles, Global Imbalances and the Limits of Fiscal Space. The motivation for this paper is to explain the sharp decline in real interest rates R relative to the growth rate of the economy G across the developed world over the last few decades and its implications for the fiscal space of governments in the developed world. One explanation for why R is less than G is that investors face idiosyncratic risk, which motivates precautionary saving to insure themselves. However, this by itself does not explain why R has fallen so much relative to G just in the last 20 years. Instead, I argue that two factors, relating to the demand for safe assets and their supply, can explain the recent decline in R versus G. On the demand side, emerging market economies have grown enormously. 20 years ago, China accounted for just 3% of global wealth. Now it owns a fifth. These EM economies likely face higher risks and so have even stronger precautionary saving motives. On the supply side, the private supply of safe assets has dwindled since the global financial crisis. Prior to the crisis, US banks issued around $1 trillion a year in AAA-rated mortgage-backed securities. Issuance subsequently was around 1/10 of this amount. In my paper, I develop a two-country model where entrepreneurs face idiosyncratic risk. EM entrepreneurs face higher risk than DM entrepreneurs, so an equilibrium will lend to the developed world. DM entrepreneurs would like to borrow, but they face credit constraints, meant to represent limits on the ability of the financial sector to transform risky lending into riskless securities. Both these factors lower real interest rates in the developed world and allow governments to borrow more or to run permanently higher deficits, and I quantify precisely how much, but their fiscal space is not unlimited, and they must design fiscal rules in order to ensure that their debt issuance is both sustainable in the long run and stabilizing in the short run. Thank you very much. I invite you all to read the paper, and please feel free to get in touch.